Hello everybody, this is the Rabid Hedgehog, and sorry for the strange audio, as you can see, there's no bike noises or anything like that, and that's because I had some difficulties with the audio on this particular ride review. But I wanted to go ahead and give my impressions of the 2015 Ducati Diavel. We made a trip over to Eurotek of Oklahoma City, and that's located on Hudaburg Circle, which is pretty much just Reno and near Meridian. And they were graceful enough to let me ride this motorcycle. The Ducati Diavel is a 2015 model, and it starts out at $17,899 in terms of the price. So, pretty expensive motorcycle, but kind of mid-range when you think about it, when you think about the bigger cruisers and stuff like that. It is considered a power cruiser, and I'll put a couple of pictures up here real fast so you can see it. What's new for 2015 is kind of a different look for it from the 2011 model from when it first came out. So, a great looking bike. I love the blacked out look of it. I rode the base model. I didn't ride the carbon or titanium model, so it's a little bit heavier than the other two because it doesn't use any carbon fiber in place of certain components. It uses all steel, which is kind of the way I would like to roll with it. The bike basically weighs about 527 pounds wet, so it is lighter than the Triumph America I have, way lighter than the Harley Sportster. It comes in at a healthy 162 horsepower out of the 1198cc Testastrada L Twin. What I like about this bike is that it does actually sit really nicely. The 30.3 inch seat that it has sits perfectly. It's wide. It has a great cutout for you as well, so that way you don't slide back in the power band whenever you hit it. The power on the thing is controlled by a computer. It is actually a throttle by wire system. So it actually has 3 different modes. While I'm jumping on the interstate here, I'm actually in sport mode. Sport mode allows you to use the full 162 horsepower of this beast, and it goes flying up through the gears real easily. The transmission shifts real fast, real smooth, catches up with the engine, does everything great. Clutch is a firm response, really good as well. Power comes right immediately on it. And then there's another mode called touring mode. It keeps the same horsepower, 162, and you can actually use that a little bit more sparingly because it doesn't react as fast. It doesn't give it to you all up front like it does in sport mode. You can also switch that over to urban mode, and that's kind of a strange mode because it does limit the power of the engine. It actually keeps it down to about 100 horsepower, but allows you to get on and off the line through traffic and all that stuff, and hopefully doesn't cause the electronic overlords to kick in and stuff like that, because it does have traction control and some other things like that as well. So overall, it's a great bike. Dashboard's real easy to read. I love the way that the lights are spread up on top, very brightly lit LEDs, so you can definitely see them. Neutral's easy to find. Everything's good to go. The turn blinkers, everything real easy to read. It has digital tachometer, digital speedometer, and then it has a second spot kind of down on the lower part of the tank, which is kind of hard to see because I don't really look down too far, but that particular area has a second screen on it, full color, that shows you the riding mode that you're currently in, and also your fuel gauge and your temperature gauge on the bike as well, since it is liquid cooled. Some of the things about the bike that I did find a little bit disturbing was the suspension. Although it does have a 4.5 inch travel on the suspension, it is a very rough suspension, as you can see on these rough roads that we have through here. It just bounces really hard, really stiff, so it kind of reminds me of the Iron 883, where it's really tight suspension. But I mean, when you think about it, though, this bike is a sporting kind of bike. It is a power cruiser in terms of its setting, but it's Ducati, and they make sport bikes, and that's what they're going for, is performance. So you can use that 162 horsepower real easily because this bike is balanced, and the suspension allows you to dive into corners and stuff like that without the soft dives and things of other cruisers that are on the market. This is a power cruiser type, like I said, so you have to think about this one being more in line with like the Yamaha VMAX or maybe even the Triumph Rocket 3. Those are the bikes that have the big engines on them, like the 4-cylinder in the VMAX or the 3-cylinder in the Rocket 3, which is the biggest of them all, the 2.3 liter. So that's what kind of you have to think about, and how much softer those bikes are versus this one. Those bikes are a little bit softer, a little bit more geared toward being a regular type cruiser. This one definitely has that that firm ride. But the sound of this bike, and I actually do have a little bit of audio that survived. I think my audio jack's been a little bit messed up or something, but I have some audio. This bike does sound great to install exhaust. It has a very good low run, very good power. The engine braking, and I'm actually using it here, works really well. It grabs and goes. The 6-speed transmission, like I said earlier, very sporty, very well balanced, and very quick to shift and things like that. So I like it. It does have a gear indicator actually on it as well on the dashboard. You can read real easily. Overall, though, the bike is a really good bike. I would buy this bike simply to just tear around the city. It's not a long-range cruiser, and it's definitely a bike that needs to be respected, though, from traffic light to traffic light, because it's very, very quick off the line, very fast acceleration, very wonderful in that. I don't see it as a long travel bike, just because of the fact that the suspension will wear on you eventually, and the back seat, if you have a passenger, is not exactly very big, and being right over that fender and the way it bounces, it causes some discomfort to the passengers as well. So that's going to be kind of the only gripes I have about this bike. But this bike I do recommend, especially if you are a solo rider, because you're going to get a bike that's going to give you the performance of a sport bike with the comfort of a cruiser. And I mean, it's just, like I said, it is just fantastic. It just takes off as soon as you twist that throttle, and that throttle by wire system kicks in. Oh, and that braking, forgot to mention the main brakes. The main brakes are fantastic. It has twin Brembo brakes up front, single in the back, and this thing stops faster than most sport bikes I've ever ridden. You can get up to speed real fast, slam on those brakes. You got to be real careful because they grab really, really, really well. This particular bike did have ABS on it, so it did have a little bit of electronic overload kick in for me once, but it was a fantastic, fantastic bike overall. So this is one that I'll recommend, definitely, because, like I said, performance orientated, great cruiser, dives in very well. No frills, no anything like that. When you do it, doesn't skip around, doesn't do anything crazy. Gives you that power delivery. Definitely comfortable in the city. Like I said, not much for the long haul, but definitely comfortable for around town and everything like that. But if you're looking for a different bike, it's still in the power cruiser segment, look at the VMAX and stuff like that. Hopefully I'll get a chance to ride one of those for review, so you can see that as I do it. And also the Rocket 3, which I'm trying to get with the Eurotek again, and possibly get a ride on that bike as well, because these are the bikes that I'm looking for in the future, is the bigger power cruisers. Like I said, I'm away from the sport bikes. I don't like sitting on my wrists the whole time I'm riding. I like sitting back, relaxing, and cruising, and this bike will give you the feel of that sport bike power, but definitely keep you in the saddle a lot better. Once again, this is the Rabid Hedgehog. If you do have any questions, let me know in the comments below, and I'd be happy to answer them for you, or get a video up about them as well. So just let me know what you want to see. Keep the shiny side up, folks. We'll see you later.